Shalom tov, everybody, and welcome back to season 2 of Havdalah Happy Hour.
Season
We're
2.
back.
Yay!
They let us come back.
It's been a minute. Hope you all had a wonderful holiday season. I know I did.
I did too.
And hey, we have video now too.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Jill, in case anyone didn't know.
He's Ben.
And he's Jeremy.
And we're back. And one of the things that I've been thinking about while we were on our little hiatus was so many people, and myself included, before I became a Jewish professional, Yom Kippur is over, everything goes back to normal. The holidays are done, but no. We are just gearing up for a really exciting time once Yom Kippur ends. I mean, Sukkot is
it's
so much fun.
Sukkot is my favorite holiday, but celebrating the holidays in their entirety, it's like a full month of holidays.
Yes.
And this is not an accident. Celebrating them the way the Torah sort of intended to, putting aside the pilgrimage aspect, because we can't do that in diaspora, but celebrating the holiday season in its entirety really gives a sense of fulfillment and understanding to the cycle of Jewish life and how that works. And so for people who come, only during the holiday times, it's great. Of course, we love to see you. But Beth El is a congregation that's open 365 days a year. We do Judaism every single day.
Literally every
single day. And living that life, as a Jewish professional or as not a Jewish, but just as a person, a Jewish person, is incredibly meaningful. And I think you can get a lot out of it. So I definitely encourage people.
But even when it says on our calendar, building closed, it really just means the offices are closed. We are here 365 days a year. 2 times a day for services.
That's right. And we hope that you'll come and join us for services other than high holiday services. If you haven't been in a while, it's time to come back. We miss you. Also, evening services have returned to the building. So if you haven't had a chance to come by, they're at 5:45 in the evenings. It's been a bit of a thing to get a minyan. It's really important for us to have that. So if you have time at 5:45, it's short service.
20 minutes.
20 minutes in and out. If you can come and help to make our minions so that people are able to say Kaddish, that would be spectacular.
Tonight, I think, was at 6 o'clock because of just the sunset for Havdalah.
Right.
And then next week, because of daylight savings time, I think we're 4:45 next Saturday.
That's
Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday through
Friday, 5:45. Right. Saturday is just based on the sunset.
Changes
time.
based on the sun and time of the year. I think through most of the late fall, winter, we're sort of at that 5:45 mark. Might get a little earlier too.
No, but so next Saturday at 4:45, we can have a whole night out after.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So,
and in this coming season of Havdalah Happy Hour, we've also talked about a few opportunities where we will go live on YouTube now with our addition of video, where we will allow people to tune in and interact with us live while we record this.
So exciting.
No one is more excited than Ben.
I am so excited, but no, I love it. I love to interact with our people, and I'm just very curious as to what that could look like and what people will share with us. And I love that.
So definitely stay tuned. Probably a fun game to kick things off today. Should we do our highs and lows of the holiday season?
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
And I know this is unrehearsed. No one knew
Totally.
it was coming.
I'm like,
No,
oh.
look at the camera and say, seriously,
I was not expecting that.
Not planned. I mean, what fun would it be if we knew what we were going to say?
Right.
I mean, it's not as good as the Pikesville trivia game, but I'm in.
We will go back to Pikesville.
I know, round 2. I'm a little nervous.
So I feel like I asked the question, so it's probably fair to give both of you a few minutes to figure out what you're going to say. But high is definitely family. It's just being around family, whether it was for dinner, whether it was together with the kids at the children's service, at the family service during some of the holidays. High would definitely be family.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably the low of the season would be our cousin died on Yom Kippur. So
that's sad.
Yes.
Yeah,
well,
right.
The tradition says that people who are taken on Shabbat are especially righteous. And I guess if you're taken on Yom Kippur, which is Shabbaton, the Sabbath of all Sabbaths.
Right.
Sabbath
this year it was on a Saturday.
So that could.
Maybe that says a little bit about his character.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So those were our highs and lows from my side.
Okay. For me, the highs, certainly being with family. I host a lot of the holidays, and it was really, I love hosting in my house. I use my grandmother's and my great grandmother's china, and when I look out at the table and everyone, it's just very gratifying. My children were home for both Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, so it was great. And also another high was the weather.
Oh yeah, it was great weather this year.
I mean,
it's such
I
a
don't
crapshoot.
think we
You
could
never
have
tell.
asked for after like the day before Rosh Hashanah was like misty and icky.
Well,
Well,
and
leading up,
yucky.
it had rained for like 2 weeks.
For like a
Right.
month. It
And
was
then
forever.
Rosh Hashanah day through
all of
today,
Sukkot,
like
yeah.
yesterday, like it did not. It was gorgeous.
And even this
gorgeous.
last week, it was like, I know it's chilly now, but I mean, it was like almost 80 degrees the
Not
other day.
chilly. It's been
It was
delightful.
a little brisk. And my low it has nothing to do with the holidays. It was the Orioles being eliminated from the playoffs on day one of Rosh Hashanah, and I had to pull it all together and post through my tears. And so that is my low. There was nothing low religiously or Beth El related. It had to do with the Orioles.
Didn't Ben predict that the Orioles?
100%
I think if we pull the tape back from a couple weeks
100%.
ago,
So that was my low. There are no liturgical lows or no religious lows or Beth El lows. It had to do with the Orioles only. It was a wonderful, wonderful 3.5 weeks of holidays here.
Yeah, it's been really a lovely season, a really beautiful festival season for us. For me, the high actually is services themselves. I get a lot of joy and meaning out of the liturgy of the holidays. And also being here at Beth El with everybody together to celebrate here in person is such a beautiful thing. And I really just get such joy out of that, out of being together with our community, with our people, just celebrating these important, beautiful days. And the liturgy itself is I get great meaning out of it, and it really puts me in a good place. I'm also struggling to find some lows because really the season really is really great. I'm reminded of a textual passage, I think from the Book of Kings. I will not swear to it. It's Havdalah that says that when the festival is over, that the people left smechin v'tovei lev, that they left happy and in good hearts and in good spirits. And so,
yes,
I know the closing of the holidays. Sometimes we in the Jewish professional world are like, good, Cheshvan's here, no more holidays till Hanukkah. But I don't really believe that. That's like a thing we say because it's kitschy. But the truth is, the holiday season is really very nice. And people, I think, really also saw that here when they came to Beth El. They saw how beautiful they were and how great they were, and the season was over, and they left happy and in good hearts.
yes. And the best thing when Friday, when Simchat Torah, they Tov Shmini Atzeret was over, we honored 2 amazing congregants. It was
a beautiful service.
Beautiful. But then the next day we had a bar mitzvah.
Right.
So like it just kept going. And then I had a day off, and you had a day off, and you had like time off. But it ended in a way, however, but there was a family that was looking forward to
right,
bar
and
mitzvah.
again, I think that goes back to the cyclical nature of the Jewish year, that we never stop doing anything. It really just continues, and Shmini Atzeret is a great example of that, right? We end the Torah only to start over at the beginning once again. Same thing with the Jewish year. The holidays might have ended, but right back into our regular routine of bar mitzvah, Shabbat. Really love it.
And that's one of my favorite things when you just said at the ending, reading the last word of the Torah. We had done a trivia night.
Yeah.
When Erev Simchat Torah, Shemini Atzeret, we did a trivia night. And one of the trivia questions was, what is the last word of the Torah? And I didn't know. And the answer is Yisrael. And then when we read the last word of the Torah this year, I specifically remembered looking, I knew it. But also what I find so amazing, and when they lifted the Torah, it's lopsided because
so
there's
nothing.
There's like a pole, and then the other side is so big, and I'm always like waiting for them.
No, don't even.
And then also poignant for me when that last day of reading the Torah, for the first time, I really concentrated on the English, and I read that last paragraph. And
it gets me a little choked up.
Yes, and it was meaningful because I spend my days here every single day, and then it just was the culmination of the entire year. And if anyone has a chance just to read the last paragraph of it, it literally wraps the entire 5 books up in one paragraph.
So for me, it's kind of the same. So I, read the Torah all the time, all the time, from beginning to the end. And Joseph is actually my favorite biblical character, but I have like a different sort of relationship with Moses. And so that last paragraph where Moses dies, and you have this sort of like beautiful, very simple epitaph for him. It calls him Eved Adonai, servant of God. You can say so many things about Moses, and I love that that's what was chosen, was servant of God, just, to do these things in pure service. And I do. I get a little emotional because I spend all his time with Moses and read about him constantly. And so
then you get to read about him again.
But then, Exodus isn't so far off.
Right. And I don't know. It's poignant. And it was definitely, it felt good this year to kind of wrap it up and read about it. And then we start again.
Yeah.
Gray sheet. Here we go. Well, there we went.
So speaking of Yom Kippur, Ben, you're on the bimah all day.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you this question. How do you prepare for that?
To sit there all day?
To be there all day, to be on, because it's different for us when
honestly,
when we're sitting in the sanctuary.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about not the morning, but
when the 4 o'clock time.
When you get into 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and you still have another 2 hours to go. If I need to get up and walk outside, if I can do that because I'm sitting in the sanctuary, it's not a big deal. But you really can't do that. So how do you and
it also brings me back to my bar mitzvah. I remember I had to go to the bathroom, and Rabbi Kamras, who is definitely not listening to this, so I feel like I can say it, told me I couldn't go, and then I had to hold it in and I had to wait. And I distinctly remember that. So I guess since a very young age, I've been prepared to sit on the bimah for a long period of time. But
this is extended.
Yes,
so
extended.
How do you prepare for that?
You had breakfast the morning of your bar mitzvah.
I don't think I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think I did that. I think I was very nervous. And I think that I couldn't handle it. So I don't think I did.
Well, you didn't have to wait till sunset to eat.
No, that's true. But also the fast for me isn't really as difficult as it was when I was 13. I remember when I was 13, I thought it was the worst thing ever. Oh my God.
No, it goes fast for me. The fast goes fast, but the day does go quickly. You take that nap in the middle of the day if you can.
So this is the secret to my preparation, is that I don't take that nap.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't take the nap. What I do, so really, my desire to pray the liturgy is very helpful to me because it's a long liturgy, right? It's a lot of stuff, but it's such a beautiful. For people who don't understand how liturgy sort of came to be and the structure of our machzor and our siddur and the way prayers were sort of constructed together, it is a beautiful tapestry of verses and liturgical poems that have been woven together in such a perfect way, for Yom Kippur especially, and it gives me just such I really get in the zone, and so I don't really sort of notice what's going on around me, which is good because I really should focus on the words of prayer. And then in the afternoon, we take that break, and I'll I usually read a little bit of the tractate Yoma, which is the Talmudical tractate that discusses Yom Kippur. A lot of interesting things in there. Also, the Talmud is kind of funny, so sometimes there's weird stuff in there. So I like to read that, and sometimes I'll stumble across something interesting or odd. I also like to read about the sacrifices of Yom Kippur because it was a very particular service that was done that had to be done exactly correctly, and I like to read about that. And just really the davening really gets me. I don't notice that I'm there literally on that bimah all day long. It doesn't feel that way to me.
Are you hungry? Do you?
I notice that I'll get hungry, my stomach will growl or whatever, and I'll notice it. Well, that's kind of the point.
Because you break fast, but you break fast way after I break fast. And I don't know what time you break fast.
You all break fast after 7:20.
Services
this year
ended
we were
actually.
A little early.
Services ended a little past 7:20.
So here's a little secret I'll tell you for all of us who are listening. Rabbi Schwartz and I disagree on the end time of Yom Kippur every year.
Really?
Rabbi likes to err on the earlier side, and I like to err on the later side. And so we usually end up coming with a compromise. I think I wanted to end this year at 7:45, and he wanted to end at 7:15. So we came up with 7:20 as sort of the compromise.
Well, I will say services were not done at 7:20.
And truth be told, the later, and I say that in quotes because they're right on time. I know that. that they, like when Yom Kippur falls in early September, it's later in the day.
Yeah.
But
Well-
when it falls later, the sun sets a little bit earlier, so you can break fast a little earlier. But then you eat the night
Right.
before earlier.
The schedule, the afternoon schedule of Yom Kippur is very exact. Right? We try and do. There's a very specific formula and timing that we like to do things, but you can never really tell what's going to happen during the Ela. Like things sometimes go a little earlier, sometimes late. Sometimes you have to stall for time. Sometimes you're like running a little late. You have to speed up time. So that's where it gets a little unpredictable, is during that sort of Ne'ilah slot, where the timing can sometimes get a little off. So that's why if we didn't end exactly at 7:20, could have been for a lot of reasons, or Shabbat Mincha could have run
Right.
a little long, depending on who does what.
Well, anyway, this year everything was just meaningful and beautiful, and the weather.
It was a lovely season.
weather.
So sitting on the bimah, what was the most, I don't want to say the craziest thing that you've seen, because there are opportunities, because
Oh, sure.
I will, if we have services in different areas in the building, and I help out other folks in the morning, and I'm moving around. I'm not just sitting until the afternoon, but I'll peek my head in the sanctuary where you are, and there are times where you are just sitting looking out, because we will lock eyes, and
Oh, yeah.
you're just sitting there looking during certain parts of the service.
What are you looking at?
So what I I should probably not admit this.
Don't use names, by the
I'm
way.
not
I
gonna
don't want to
use
get
any
any angry
I'm not going to
emails.
use any names. No, but I love to see who comes in when. Like if I'm
Well, like I
paying
walked
attention,
in late last year, and
Yeah.
you pointed at your watch.
I remember it. Like I know when people come in, if I'm like actively paying attention to that. Like if I've like already set the Amidah and I'm waiting for everybody else to finish, I have to look around and I will see who comes in when, and I will look around and I will notice it. And then also, so the craziest thing I saw one time.
No names.
I'm not going to say any names, but it was a number of years ago at this point. It wasn't this past season. It was a number of years ago. But it was, I swear I saw a bunch of people getting in a fight about seats.
Really?
Yeah. And I think it was because it may have been like one of either the first or maybe like the second year that we decided on second day Rosh Hashanah to combine.
Oh,
and then we decided that said that you can, like, if you have seats in the sanctuary, you can reserve them up until a certain time. But then after that time, we're going to open it to everyone, right? So open seating after whatever time it is, I don't remember. Fine, which I think is fair, right?
Yes.
If we're going to have a second day altogether, it doesn't really matter. Like, I understand people are very attached to their seats, and that's fine too. But like, once that time reaches, I feel like, so I guess what happened was these, people were sitting in these seats, and then I guess the seat owners came after the time had ended, and like I saw them like getting into it from the
Wow.
bimah, and I was like, I couldn't do anything about it, but thankfully we had
Elbowing rabbis.
I mean, they were just like it was
Uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable, but also like kind of funny for me to watch. Like I was like, oh,
Like it's not that
prayer
deep,
and a show.
right?
Okay.
General Hospital.
Yeah, right.
and-
As Beth El turns.
This could be a new segment on the show, from the bimah looking out, and every time we have Ben or a rabbi or one of the canners
Right.
come on, is say, give us something from
Yeah.
the last
I
couple
mean,
of months.
some weird things. that we
Get some
do.
Yeah.
sleeping, probably
Oh,
some
all the
texting.
time sleeping.
I always think that congregants probably have so many questions for the people that work here
Oh yeah.
that they like don't
Feel
want
free to
send
submit.
us your questions. We
And,
will answer questions.
So
If you
text the
want.
show.
You
if
can always
want.
text the show.
Text us your questions. Now that we have video and we're on YouTube also, you can also reply when you
Yeah.
see this on Facebook or the video
Like,
on YouTube.
anytime, if you have questions or comments or suggestions, send them in to us.
Yeah,
We'd
we'll
love to read them.
answer.
We'll definitely
It's fun.
probably answer them unless it's
Like before I worked here, I had so many like questions about
running a
Stuff
synagogue is
that-
not.
That's my
It's
that's
much more than people think.
That is my question from the bimah looking out. I like them. Well, maybe I'm sure you'll have a couple more that you'll share with
That's a
us.
good
during
one.
the next season.
Well, also there's right in my line of sight in a certain row is a person I see every year, and I have no idea who they are. And like I see, like literally, like sometimes how you just like are like staring, just
Yes.
you're staring, and I feel like I'm staring at this person, and like I don't know if they see me or not. I don't know, but if you're there, hey, Shana Tova, hope you have a great year.
Well, I think it's about that time.
all right.
Are we ready for our first Shonda of the week? for the
Oh
new
yeah,
season?
Shonda of the week of the new Jewish year.
Well, I
A lot of things could be.
used my Shonda of the year on the Orioles.
No, Jill. That
But
was
now
in the
it's a
last
new
year.
year.
This
I
is
know.
a
I'm
new
saying I
year.
used my Shonda of the year, but we were on hiatus when the biggest Shonda of the year happened. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to try and think up another one.
Ooh.
Mine is somewhat easy because I thought about saving them up for the last couple of weeks during the holidays, but last week I went to lunch with a friend, and I don't know if our listeners or either of you have been on Reisterstown Road recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Below the Beltway,
Mm-hmm.
like
I don't know what
around
that means.
Old Court Road,
Oh, okay.
Reisterstown Road, and the road.
Going towards Yeesh from
Got it.
the Beltway.
Correct. The construction that they're doing on Reisterstown Road, but the way that they have left the roadway, the cars were down to, they're very nice. There's a bakery, we won't say the name because they're not a sponsor, right by Staples, the shopping center I'm talking about. So we went there for lunch. A good meal, by the way. I got a mozzarella and tomato.
Those
That's
go
one of my
really well
favorite.
together, right?
Yes.
You toasted little
It was,
balsamic.
well, that's what they did.
So
They
good.
taste there with some tomato
Pesto.
in there. I'm actually
Pesto,
good.
yeah, I love a pesto.
So anyway, I'm driving down there. I'm like, why are the cars going so slow? And you literally get to, I guess it was like right at Reisterstown Road and Sudbrook Lane. Again, our in-town listeners, they know exactly what we're talking about. And
Is that by the diamond cleaner?
yes, by the firehouse, by
Which
the
is
state
definitely like
police.
a front for something.
That diamond cleaner's been there for a long time.
I know. I don't believe it.
That whole, remember when there used to be a Radio Shack there?
Wasn't there also a Wawa?
Yes, it was the
Yeah.
standalone Wawa. The
Yeah.
cleaners were always
And there's
there.
a Chinese restaurant that I'm not sure what the meat was.
Ugh. But anyway, the road was so bad with the way they're doing construction. I was like, I'm going to get a flat tire. I hope the $8 sandwich was worth it. I mean, it was worth it. So far, no flat tires. It's been like
Man, that is the way I always get flat tires constantly.
So I know.
Yes, especially when I drive in the city, which is why I try not to do it.
Me too, but for other reasons. So I know for a fact we have a few of our local elected officials who listen to this podcast. So if you're listening now, don't wait for the email to come from me. Just please help us.
Like
do
the basic
something.
job. This is why I hate everyone, because all I want is for like the infrastructure to be good, for us to be safe, and for us to not spend so much money. That's like all I want.
Keep me safe. Don't mess with my money.
Right.
That's all I
Right.
ask.
That's great. Right.
Keep me and maybe
And
pave the road.
that is also
Pave the
like
road.
it is a terrible road. Like I already is bad.
Sorry, that's my Shonda.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
I mean, give me time.
So
It'll be.
I have a similar Shonda along those same lines. My Shonda is that new coffee restaurant. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name. Coffee and donut place that opened up on Reisterstown Road.
Mhm.
The traffic in the morning.
Oh, someone's going to get killed. Trying to make the left.
Oh my God, left turn out, but also to the right turn in and the left. It's backed up to the Beltway. You cannot even get down Reisterstown Road because the cars are at a standstill in the right lane trying to turn in between that and the.
Is it really good coffee?
It's Dunkin' Donuts.
I mean, you can say it.
Yes.
I don't drink coffee, so
But it's the new Dunkin' Donuts. That's, by the way, not kosher. That is another Shonda.
Is the other
of mine.
Dunkin' Donuts still open at Reisterstown in Old Court?
No, that was the kosher one that was close
Yeah.
to here. The kosher one now is further down, which of course I'll go to.
This
But-
is the one by Colonial Village, right? By like 7 miles.
Colonial Village is the kosher
That's
one.
the kosher
Right.
one.
They
right?
opened up a new one.
I know where the new one is, but
It's not kosher anymore.
but they closed the one.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's
That was
also
to Mike's.
another Mike's
Right,
Pizza.
that was there forever.
That's another Shonda.
That's
So-
not its name anymore, but that's what we
It's Mike's Pizza. It's always Mike's Pizza to me. So the traffic, the fact that it's not kosher, Shonda.
I'm
That's
with
all.
you.
I'm not a breakfast person, so this I feel like doesn't really.
Well, I'm a
impact me.
coffee person, but there might be something extra in my coffee tonight.
Little
'cause it
Irish
is
coffee
happy
there, Jill?
hour.
Little Irish coffee.
Havdalah Happy Hour. Ben, what do you have?
Okay, so my Shonda of the week is the international community, which is terrible. So Israel on Monday passed legislation that would severely curtail Israel's or UNRWA, the UN agency that only deals with Palestinian refugees. That's separate from the UN other agency on refugees. There are two. I don't know why there are two. No one can explain that to me, why Palestinians get one and the others don't. Fine, whatever.
I think we know.
But we're right, we know the answer. So Israel passed legislation that sort of made it impossible for Israeli officials, government officials, to deal with UNRWA. Okay, UNRWA is a Hamas front. It is an organization that has supported terrorism for many, many years. Employees of UNRWA participated in September 7th. October 7th, sorry, October 7th.
Wait, what happened?
I'm confusing my terrorist activities.
Yes. There's so many of them,
so
so
many
it's
to choose
easy to
from.
confuse.
Right, so on October 7th, sorry, my bad. Yes, they participated in October 7th. There was an UNRWA ID found on Sinwar's body. Like, UNRWA is an extremely problematic agency that this country and the rest of the world have given billions of dollars for over the years, only for Hamas to build a tunnel infrastructure and to continue perpetuating terrorism in the Gaza Strip and not actually doing its job. So Israel, having been fed up with this over the decades and complained to nothing, nobody has done anything. Everyone's like, oh, yes, we understand that UNRWA is problematic, but like they're working on it. They're not working on it. They've done nothing to fix themselves. So Israel passed this legislation they're fed up. Like, I get it. Like, I understand it. The international community has gone crazy. Oh my God, Israel, you're terrible. You can't do that. Meanwhile, I don't see any other countries commenting on the legislation of other democratic countries. For example, Italy recently passed a law that made it almost impossible for same-sex couples to adopt children. Didn't hear anything about that. I didn't hear anything about our administration complaining about that, saying how disappointed and discouraged they were at that legislation. Israel is a democracy, a sovereign democracy. This is the will of the people. Also, it was a pretty big vote, one to the other. And just the reaction from the international community that continues to put the onus solely on Israel for everything that's wrong in the Middle East is despicable to me, and it's anti-Semitism, and that's my Shonda of the week, and I hate them all. The end.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Shavua Tov.
Speaking of democracy, for next week's show,
oh, right.
Remember, we have a very busy week coming up.
It's election time.
Right? It's in
which is the worst.
3 days out. I read an article.
I voted early because
so
I might
sick.
be living somewhere else next week.
I read an article that they're predicting that we might not know the results of the election until maybe as early as next Saturday. Now, whether or not that will be the case, we'll see. But
they're going to be crazy, and
it will be an interesting week, and stay tuned because we've talked a little bit internally, but we're working on possibly having a guest next week that might be able to have us analyze the results of the election.
Who was that guy? I think he's dead now, but he used to do with the big election map on, I forget which channel it was. It was great though. I think he died like young of a heart attack.
Could we put a map up?
Yeah. What was his name?
I think I know who you mean. He'd have the eraser and the pen. And,
he was great.
NBC has a great guy now. He always wears khakis and a white button down. His name, I think, is Steve Kornacki. He's hilarious and smart, and he does everything. Like, he analyzes now not just elections. Like, anytime there's like the NCAA basketball tournament, or like he'll analyze everything for them now, and it's very cool.
So we'll see.
I don't remember who that guy was. Was it the movie in The Waterboy where they had John Madden with the football and was just like constantly trying all over?
Yes, the X's and yes.
Oh, we'll get ourselves a map. We can also be election analyzers too because of our expert political.
So stay tuned, everyone. We'll see. We'll see next week.
And it looks like it's going to wrap it up for us. This episode of Havdalah Happy Hour.
You want to try that again? Hang on.
This
Wait a minute. We can stop the music. Hold on. All right. We'll. All right.
That'll just about do it for us here on this episode of Havdalah Happy Hour, which you have been listening to on the Beth El Podcast Network. You can find all of our shows wherever you go to listen to your favorite podcasts or on Beth El Congregation's YouTube channel. Remember to follow us on all our social media platforms, including but not limited to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just search Beth El Balto. Remember, text our show, send us stuff. We like to listen to it. Thanks for listening, and Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Wave to the camera.